Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to our 30-minute live Q&A session. I'm Ify, your host and go-to immigration lawyer here in Charlotte, helping clients all over the USA. Thank you all for joining me today. As usual, I'm going to answer your questions during the live. And feel free to reach out to me. Let me put that here on TikTok. Reach out to me for a one-on-one consultation if you have detailed questions and you need more time to answer. Okay, we're live on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. We're going live on Instagram right now. Thank you all for joining, liking. Make sure you invite your friends, guys, because today I'm going to break down some requirements for U.S. citizens who are living abroad, who have their spouse living abroad. Maybe you moved. I see that all the time. I actually got a question recently about this. How do I prove my citizenship if I live abroad and I want to file for my spouse to come in? How do I prove my citizenship? Okay, so there's some requirements, some things to consider if you're in this situation. So join this live. Let me put my number in. I learned how to do these stickers recently on TikTok. So I'm pretty excited. Let me put in my number here so y'all can just give me a call for a detailed one-on-one. If you're on YouTube and Facebook, my number is right on the screen, but I'm also going to leave it in the comments so that you can easily just click and call me or just share it with your friends, okay? All right, wait, let's see. My number is 919. All right. So while we're all getting your lunch, this is lunchtime here in the US. I want to hear from you all. Tell me in the comments where you're watching me from right now. I already have someone from Nepal who lives in New York, and I see different people here on TikTok. So let me know in the comments where you're at. If you didn't already know, I'm originally from Nigeria, but now I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. So let me know in the comments, 925-2295. Okay. All right. So family-based immigration is what we do here. We help families get their green card, get their permanent residency so they can stay together. Right. So it says under review. So if you see my number on TikTok, just take a screenshot and call me afterwards. All right. So what we do is help non-immigrants who have relatives in the USA get their residency so they can live here permanently, build their life here in the USA. I'm an immigrant myself, had to go through the entire process. And now I'm here as a US citizen, giving you all the tea. All right. So if not for anything, apart from being an immigration lawyer, just know that I have the tea from my own experience and I can definitely put you on. And before you know it, you become a US citizen as well. You can travel, live your dreams, do whatever you want. Okay, so the new US, what's it called? The American dream. The new American dream is working in the US and living abroad. So I've been seeing a lot of US citizens who live abroad, right, wanting to file for their spouse, but they live abroad and I have certain concerns. So on this live, I'm going to break it down and talk about some of the criterias for filing, the filing process, and some of the challenges that you'd face if you're living abroad. Okay? So let's get into it. Pillar, I see your question. I'm going to answer you in more detail about the processing time, but thank you very much for being here. All right, let's go on Instagram. All right, so some things to consider if you are a U.S. citizen filing a petition, a green card petition for your spouse, and you're living abroad. You're going to think about how to prove that your relationship is real, right? If you live in a foreign country, what kind of documents do you have in that country? Are you like living together? Do you have a lease? Do you have a bank account together in that foreign country? So you're going to consider how to prove bona fide relationship for those people who are U.S. citizens who live outside the USA, right? Because they want to be closer to their spouse at this point, or maybe a fiance, maybe you're not yet married, right? So think about how you're going to prove your relationship, your citizenship, because that's the key to this whole thing. Without the U.S. citizens' uh, requirements, right? If you don't meet the requirements of being a petitioner, a U.S. citizen, or a permanent resident, there's no application. So this is the first thing you're going to think about. And then you're going to consider your relationship, right? How can I prove that it's real? Okay. Out of the blue, thanks for joining. I see your question. I'm going to get to that in 1 minute. And for those of you who are just joining, thank you. I'm Ify. I'm your go-to immigration lawyer in Charlotte, North Carolina. I can help you anywhere you are in the USA. So come on in, ask your questions on this live. If you're on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, come on in. Don't be shy. Let's get into your green card requirements, how to get your green card, stay in the USA, work and live permanently. All right. So Pillar says, can you please tell me how much time it would take the green card process in Chicago? Okay. Pillar is in Chicago. Thank you for joining me from Chicago. Yeah. So the green card process generally will depend on where you live, right? Because the population of immigrants and applications before you obviously is a factor, right? This is completely different from the backlogs we see with immigrant visas for, let's say, spouse of a permanent resident, of which, by the way, guys, if you didn't watch me live last time, there's an update on that. So check it out, but I'll mention it in a bit. But apart from those types of backlogs, generally where you live will determine how quickly your field office will call you in for an interview or process your case. All right. So in Chicago, I think there's a lot of people there. So I'm assuming that will take at least a year, maybe a year and a half. Okay. It won't get up to 2 years. I've seen it get up to 2 years, but that was during pandemic time when there was like a serious delay in processing. But right now it will, it could just really be somewhere around a year. That's pretty normal, even in other states as well. Here in Charlotte, North Carolina, we see very quick processing times. I think it's just not a lot of applications going out in North Carolina in general. So, that's my 2 cents on that. But really, USCIS, they've really improved their processes right now, and things are moving pretty quickly. So that's one of the things that I've noticed since April, since the fee increase. All right, so you never really know. Just apply. That's your main concern right now, is applying. And once you do that, right, you'll be able to then be in line for whatever processing time there is. Okay, makes sense? Okay, so I'll move on to my next point I have here to discuss. This is just shedding some light on how to file a spousal petition if you're a U.S. citizen living abroad. Okay, very common these days, very common. Okay, you're going to think about all the criterias, and then you're going to consider the filing process. How are you actually going to do this process since you're abroad? Are you going to file online? Are you going to file by mail? Right? Those are things to consider. So the filing process for a spousal visa, if you live abroad or even if you're in the US, the process is the same. It's a 2-step process. You're going to start with a petition, all right? The I-130 petition is going to be your first filing, your first requirement. This is where you're going to prove your citizenship and relationship. That's why that was my first point, because until you get these things in order, you can't even file. So once you get it in order, then you're going to move on to filing. All right. So step 1, file I-130. All right. SNA, thanks for joining. Khadiza, thanks for joining. Great question. Can I file for my parents as a green card holder? And short answer is no, because for the sake of immigration benefits, right? You need to be an immediate relative, meaning a parent of a U.S. citizen. So until you become a U.S. citizen, you're not going to be able to file for your parents. You can file for your spouse and your child, your minor child. But the other categories has to be immediate relative of a U.S. citizen. Okay? All right, great question. But in any family-based process, you're going to start with the I-130. That's always the first thing. Okay? First things first, I-130 petition. Consider the best way to file. If you're going to go with our service, you can be abroad, you can be anywhere. We can help you file because we operate virtually with clients all over the USA. Right, that wouldn't be a problem. But if you're going to file it on your own, then you might want to consider filing online because I'm not sure what country. I mean, I guess it will really depend on what country you're at, right? If you're in one of the European countries, for example, or you're in Canada, you could potentially still mail. It's probably reliable to mail. But if you are in a developing country, you might want to consider filing online. So there's a different processes to do that. But at the end of the day, they're going to want to see, is this relationship real? Are you a U.S. citizen? And obviously with that, they're going to make sure you qualify in terms of paying your taxes and not committing any crimes yourself. Because as a U.S. citizen, right, you need to meet these requirements just to show that you can actually take care of an immigrant who you're asking for the green card, right? That's what it is. You want them to live here permanently. Okay? So, hope that makes sense. Give me a thumbs up if you're getting some value from this. I see some questions. I don't think there's any from YouTube and Facebook yet. Let's see. Okay. So I'm going to keep on going with this. I think I'm live on a different Instagram, but that's okay because I shared it with the other Instagram. But just follow me. We come live every week anyway. So if I missed your question today, I'll get it on the next one. Dan, what's your question? Let's see it. Dan says, how long does your case take to expire once your case has been pushed to NVC center? Dan, I'm not sure what you mean by expire. If it's been pushed to NVC, and Dan is pushing me ahead of the process because I just talked about step 1. Dan is asking about a step 2 in this spousal visa process. So if it's been pushed to NVC, you should immediately start processing the DS-260, providing proof of your U.S. citizens' income, right? Because that's one of the things for step 2. So why are you concerned about this expiring? Are you not able to start the application or what's going on there? Okay. Out of the blue says, did I answer your first question? Thank you very much for participating and for watching. Make sure you're inviting your friends. And like I said, follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. In fact, join our Facebook group because we're always going live and answering questions there. Okay. But out of the blue says, I'm documentarily qualified. Do I still have to file the I-130? Well, if you're already, that means your I-130 has been approved already. If you're DQ'd, right, that's what that means. So you wouldn't need to file I-130 again. What category is this? How'd you get documentarily qualified? Okay. I'm going to move on to the next step, the step 2, which Dan was just asking me about. Yeah, which is the NVC part of things. NVC stands for National Visa Center. So essentially, once the I-130 is approved, if you're able to file it correctly, right, you provide evidence of your relationship and citizenship and all of that good stuff for step 1 and everything goes well, keep in mind that could take a year in its own, okay? But sometimes 30 days. I mean, USCIS is so unpredictable. The timeline questions that we get is really, I understand where you're coming from, because obviously you want to move on with your life and make plans, right? But really, your main focus should just be getting started, right? Once you started, you're in line. And then with that, you get whatever benefits you can get, if it's a work permit or travel permit, just to get some type of relief and move on with your life, really. I love when I see my clients online just living their lives, building their families, buying houses. They reach out to me, they send me pictures of their babies. I mean, I'm like, this is a family green card situation. Your focus is not just to, I just want to get my green card so I can start working and just, okay, then what's the point, right? The point is for you to be with your families, build your life. So that should be your focus. So the timeline questions, don't worry too much about it. If you can get in line, just get in line. All right. So those who filed April 1st, super lucky. Many of them already got their results as of today. Super lucky. I don't know how that happened, but those are the good changes I'm seeing in the USCIS. So just keep that in mind. Okay. So filing process. File the I-130, gets approved. Move on to the consular process, the MVC part of things, where you then start to provide your medicals. You need medicals for every green card application, especially for the family-based. You do your medicals, your police clearance, your birth certificates, right? You're going to submit everything that has to do with you as the immigrant. This is getting your visa. That's what this is about. Okay? And once you submit all those things, you get called for an interview. And once the interview is done, if you pass, let's just say you had something on your record that you didn't tell them about before, they find out, that could make the whole thing, complicated. This is why you need an attorney, right? Why not? TikTok didn't let me pin my number in here. Because I was just going to remind you all to give me a call. Maybe I'll just write it in the comments and pin it there. But this is why you need an attorney, because it might seem straightforward, but you just never really know what is behind the curtain, what's behind the scenes. All right. And we can help you figure all that stuff out, try to help you avoid as many complications as possible, so it can be as easy as possible. It's still stressful. So people really think that once you hire an attorney, it's like some magical pill. We do help you feel the peace of mind, right? That you have someone there in your corner helping you, advocating for you and stuff like that. But it's still going to be a challenge. We still need hardcore evidence of whatever it is you're claiming. If it's abuse for a violent case, or if it's for your basic marriage-based case, you need hardcore evidence. And we can't make this shit up. You just need it. Okay? Thanks for the follow, guys. Ricardo the farmer. Hey, how you doing? It's been a while. I haven't seen you, Ricardo. How are you? Okay, so step 2 is done. You pass, they give you a visa, and then what's next? You're coming into the USA as a permanent resident. At this point, this is where it gets a little bit complex, because now with the US citizen, remember in the beginning we said you moved abroad, right? Because you're living your best life. It's 2024. You work remotely and you just went to Jamaica. Okay, period. I'm happy you're doing this. Okay, that's the dream. That's what I want to do. Okay, so if you're doing it, you find yourself outside the USA, and you're still wanting to potentially move back. Maybe you have your whole family here. You don't necessarily want to move to Jamaica, but your spouse then needs a green card. This is what I'm talking about in this life. So when it's time for your spouse to go back, this is where we're going to face the challenge, right? the things you need to consider if this is your situation. Now, my first question to you as the U.S. citizen is, what kind of ties do you have back in the U.S.? Did you sell your apartment and sell your house and move to Jamaica? Or did you just kind of go to Jamaica for 3 months, go back to the USA, go to Jamaica like that? Like, well, how did this go down? Because that's going to really determine if your spouse will actually get this green card. Like, are you domiciled? That's the legal term for it in the USA, right? Because what's the point of a green card if you're not domiciled in the USA, right? What is your non-citizen spouse just going to come to the USA without you, and then you keep on living elsewhere? What's the plan? They really want to know what the plan is. So that's something you have to consider. That's one of the challenges you're going to face if you are considering filing a green card petition for your spouse and you're living your best life overseas, right? It is, definitely just a better quality of life sometimes, and your cost of living is low when you live abroad. So many benefits. So I get it. But if you want to do a green card, you have to have connections to the USA. Okay? So keep that in mind. Make sure you're filing your taxes. Make sure you're keeping your bank accounts and whatever else you need to prove that you're still interested in living in the USA, basically. Okay. Ricardo the Farmer, you're welcome. Yeah. So Kamal, I see a question come in, and let's see here. If I missed any. Okay. I see a question from Kamal on TikTok, so I'm just going to answer that. And Miss Robcast, hello. Thanks for joining on Instagram. I shared this to my other Instagram. I'm not sure how to get that one in here, but anyways, you're here. Thank you very much. Let's see. This says travel permit is approved in a valid case. Can I go to my country? Kamal, short answer is yes, you can. Only concerns people have with traveling on their advanced parole travel permit is whether you're going to face issues when you're returning, right? Issues in terms of your case was denied and now you're inadmissible because XYZ. So you could definitely travel and just make sure you don't have any records or issues that could affect your admissibility later. Okay. Is this I-130 still valid? JC, while waiting for your medical in your home country, you enter the USA through the borders. Ooh, JC, OMG. Is the I-130 still valid? That's a tricky one because I think you've just created a complication. You entered through the border, that means you didn't have a visa. So you need to reach out to me. Let me go ahead and put my number in. I'm not even sure why they didn't let me pin my number on that thing, on their sticker thing. They did before, but let me put my number in the comments and pin it. So any one of you who's watching me right now and you want to reach out, you want to have a one-on-one session with me, you can just go ahead and give us a call, and my team will help you get booked on my calendar. I don't think I have any more time this week, but starting Monday, I can make sure that you are the first one that I speak to, 9 a.m. sharp. So give us a call right now, okay? And we can get it popping, 925-2695. I keep saying this because one of my clients actually, or wasn't a client, potential client, said this during a consult. So after we're done doing everything, talking, he was like, let's get it popping. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to start using that. So I'm always ready to get it popping in life and in this law firm. Okay? Always ready to get it popping. Pin this comment. So let me know if you see my pin comment on there. And I'm going to pin it on Instagram as well. Do that. Oh, 9. Like people that just call people are really wild. Like, don't be calling my phone. If we don't have any prior appointments, do not call my phone. 919-925-2295. So yeah, give me a shout. Let's see. Can I guess not. Or maybe here. Oh, Timmy Topper, I didn't see your messages on YouTube. Thanks for always joining and watching my live. You're welcome. All right. Okay. All right. So Instagram peeps, that is my number. Let me go ahead and pin that. I'm so glad we could pin our stuff on here. So you have my contacts, you have my info. Reach out, okay? Okay, so I think I discussed everything. The most pressing thing was really the challenges that you would face as a U.S. citizen who lives abroad is that domicile, whether you have those documents to prove that you still want to be an American, and at least you know you're free. So if you have those ties, you're going to prove that through your taxes, your mortgage, or whatever you have, lease, whatever you have for your housing and all of that. Okay. IFE, is there any way for an immigrant who came illegally to get a work permit under adjustment of status through a U.S. citizen? Daniel, thank you for that question. Very detailed. And, the key issue here is the fact that you entered without a visa, okay? I tend not to use illegal versus legal. It's more just, documented, undocumented, visa, no visa type of thing, right? So you entered without a visa, and now you're looking to adjust your status. So if the new rule that's Uncle Joe is trying to basically, I think an executive action means it's already in play, but I think there's still going to be some pushback by the courts. I think that's really what's going on right now. But if Uncle Joe's proposal is approved, right, fully in effect, you should be able to get a work permit. That's the whole point of parole in place. Right? Parole in place says that they will forgive your entry without a visa and just let you stay in the USA, work, and all the waivers and everything will be done here. Generally, you would have to go back to your home country, of which there's no guarantees of coming back, especially with the new changes I told you about on Tuesday, right, where the consulate now has so much power that they can deny your application and nothing will happen, basically. That's essentially what the judge is saying. Like, being married to a U.S. citizen doesn't really rise to any level of yada, yada, yada. So they just denied this man after he lived in the USA for probably 20 plus years, denied his whole application and, nothing, denied the waiver, everything, just, so I don't know the way forward for them, but let that not be you. Don't travel back home until you know for sure that everything is going to be good. But at the most, do a cancellation or removal even, because that will get you a work permit too. If you've lived for 10 years, you've lived here for 10 years and no crimes. Same criteria for the, PIP rule, parole in place. All right, no crimes, lived here 10 years plus, and so on. Okay, hope that answers your question. Daniel, give me a thumbs up. Thanks for that question. And I'm going to keep on going through the ones that I see popping up. Those of you who are joining me for the first time, just seeing me. I've been on here for a couple of minutes now. How long? Let's see. Okay, about 30 minutes. So we'll have a few more minutes because I do have a consultation later this afternoon. But yes, I'm Ivy. I'm your go-to immigration lawyer for everything family-based and also some humanitarian visas like VAWA self-petition, okay, like T visas for labor trafficking. That one, I'm just taking my time because I've been learning a lot of things about labor trafficking, just seeing the patterns in the community. I'm just like, ooh. So, but we do help if you know that you're being treated unfairly in your employment because you don't have your status and people are just taking advantage of you, basically like slavery. Just reach out to an attorney. You have options, okay? So those types of visas, U visas, victims of crimes. Okay, I saw some girls post the other day talking about just a funny post about this U visas being a victim of a crime. People will call you for, oh, someone stole my charger. It's not that type. It's going to be a serious crime that involves investigation by the FBI, and you're helping with that investigation. So you can get your green card through that. It's going to be a long process, very long, but you can get your green card through that. But yeah, we help with those types of things here, right? And also share free resources online, like I'm doing right now, giving you the tea, okay, as an immigrant, as an immigration lawyer as well. So that's what we're doing here. So thanks very much for being a part of it. Okay, Maurice says, if you are okay, if your 2-year green card expires, okay, before you receive the 10-year green card, what should you do? Ooh, Maurice, did you not file a removal of conditions? Because that's what it sounds like. If you get a temporary green card because you weren't married long enough, you need to file a removal of conditions so they'll know that you're still married and still, eligible for the green card. So if you didn't do that, I'm not sure how long it's been. Reach out to me. Let's see if we can do a late filing. But essentially, you could lose your green card. I mean, at this point, your green card is expired. You don't really have a green card, but it takes more than just an expired green card to actually lose your green card status. So there's still an option for you. Just reach out to me. Let's talk about that. But guys, 90 days before your 2-year green card expires, please, please, please apply to remove conditions. Okay. Maurice, 2 years. What have you been doing? Are you still married to your spouse? Let me know. Santana, thank you for being here. I think I've seen you before in my live sessions. Thanks for being here. Are they waiving interviews in 2024 depending on the case? Well, I wouldn't say they are waiving interviews, but that could happen for you, but it's not really. It just really depends, right? And I don't think it depends on the kid. I think it depends on the field office and so many other factors. And yeah, maybe the case too, actually, because if you've been married for a long time and you have children together and things like that, they'll be like, yeah, this one is real. Bye-bye. Approved. Okay. No interview, nothing. But I've seen couples that were barely married and still didn't get an interview, got approved in like 4 months. So I'm like, okay, I don't know what you're doing, but yeah. So you have a question on YouTube. Okay, I'll answer that for sure. Let's see here. Do you know if there'll be limits? Let's see. Okay, well, this is from Mimi. Let's go with Mimi's question first. Mimi says, do you know if there will be limits with the new rule disqualifying specific prior criminal convictions? Okay, like how DACA restricted DUI offenders. Yeah, so with the new rule, Mimi, thanks for that question and thanks for watching me on YouTube. Well, for this new rule, right, there's no any criminal any criminal offense really can disqualify you from qualifying for the parole in place. All right, so there wouldn't be any specific prior criminal conviction that they're looking at. I think they just need you to have a clean record for the past 10 years in the USA. It's just that straightforward for that one. Okay, so if you're married to a US citizen, you enter without a visa, and you're hoping that you can get a work permit and you don't have to go back to Mexico, Honduras, whatever country you came from, you can hopefully make sure you haven't committed any crimes, right? Make sure you do a background check on yourself. You can do that. And hopefully this will be passed and we can all just move on, because there are thousands and thousands of people who deserve to be here supporting their families. They've been doing so anyway for all these years, paying their taxes, and they really deserve to get their green card. So let's just hope and see. But thanks for your question, Mimi. Motivation, they can totally deny you without an interview. Great question. Motivation says, can they deny you without an interview? Totally. It's discretionary. If you don't add some documents, sometimes they don't even have to send you a request for evidence. It could just be like denied. But obviously, we'll fight back and do a reopen and be like, what the F, guys? And they'll reopen it. But it is possible, seen it happen. Unfortunately, this family, they came to me after the denial. They didn't earn enough income. And I think the rule really states that the agents can really do that. So maybe this was a new agent and they were like, you know what, I'm going to stick to the rule. And you're denied immediately. They didn't do an RFE. So I didn't think that was right, but that happened. Okay. All right. How many more minutes I got? 5 more minutes. Let's see. So Timmy Tupper, the question is plenty. Dang. You sure you don't want to book a call with me? Timmy Tupper says, let's see. Your friend has an evidence, request for evidence for vial case or background check. Okay. And he gave it to his lawyer. Okay. I'm just trying to read in my head because it's like just so many words that I can't really see right now. But his lawyer does not send it quickly, 2 weeks now. And I told him to send the copy by himself. Can that be a problem for him and his case for the background check record? Definitely, it'll be a problem. So if he's going to do anything by himself, you should definitely tell the lawyer so they don't send 2 things, right, and complicate the case. But the thing is, with a vow of self-petition, right, you do need representation. It is best to have representation, especially for the safety of your records, because we receive the mail for our clients, so that your abusive spouse somehow doesn't get to know that you're filing this process, because it could be dangerous for the client. That's one thing. All right. And then just doing this one response is not the only thing. I'm not sure the relationship with the lawyer, how it goes, but sometimes when you take over the case like this, it could affect that relationship, and then he doesn't have a lawyer. So those are things to keep in mind, okay, before he sends it by himself. Okay. But yes, I'm glad we got through that question. That was like a chunk of questions. That's the other part. Okay. But on TikTok, I know you all really have questions. I will try to answer a couple more that I see just coming up right now. I see from Omar, Ivy, and I'll answer those and I'll be out. But you know, you can always reach me for a one-on-one by calling me, and you can also check out my website. If you're not really ready yet, maybe you just don't qualify yet, you need to earn more income or something like that, you can check out our website, marriagegreencard.us, for some free resources that will just keep you informed on what's going on. Okay. So Omar says, Why is the American Embassy in Dakar, Senegal holding people's passports after giving you a K1 visa approval? Omar, I wish I knew. My client who went through Senegal, coincidentally got his passport, so I don't really know. Every country is just going to be different. They have different reasons for doing different things. Every person is also going to be different. So do you have any complications with the embassy, or how long has it even been? I don't know. What's the process for siblings? Siblings is going to be a similar process for every immediate relative. The main issue with the sibling process is the fact that a visa is not immediately available. So even if you do the I-130 petition and that gets approved, it's just going to be that for 10 plus years. Okay. So it's going to be a two-step process as well. They can't adjust status because a visa is just not immediately available. That's just that. It's usually spouse of a U.S. citizen, permanent resident that can adjust. And lucky for those spouse of permanent residents, they just moved the dates up so you're able to actually apply for an I-45, which means a work permit and a travel permit. So that's a new update that I gave last Tuesday. So check that out, or just DM me if you have questions about that. But yeah, if you are here in the USA, like I said, your main goal should just be to get in line, get whatever benefits you can for the meantime, and just live your life, because life is just too short for us to be, stressing out. One of my clients the other day was like, I check the portal every single day about my status. I'm like, why? You need to just relax. Just know that you can check once a month, even twice a month, but not every single day. Like, that's just excessive. But don't let your case die in USCIS. Make sure you pursue it. So every month, make sure you look into it, make sure things aren't lost or they haven't sent you a notice that you didn't get, things like that. Okay? Okay. Can you apply for citizenship while your I-751 is in process? Yes, you can, Brian. Great question. I-751 is what this dude should have filed. What's his name now? Maurice. Maurice, you should have filed an I-751 to remove conditions. Because you didn't file an I-751, your temporary green card expired, and now we don't know where to go from here. Right? But if you file your I-751 and it's taking forever, which it will, okay, just expect that with I-751s, you can totally apply for your U.S. citizenship, especially if you're still married to your spouse. You could totally apply for your U.S. citizenship, which will move everything faster and so on and so forth. Okay? So, yes, 6 months of waiting, I don't know, Omar, we'll have to see what's going on with Senegal. Motivation, why would they request tax transcripts? Because they need to know that the U.S. citizen earns enough income to actually support the non-citizen. So the only way they can know is through your tax transcripts, W-2s, pay stubs. Okay? All right. Hope that answered. I think I've basically answered most questions. Some of them are just repeated questions, but I think I answered most questions. And if I didn't, please DM me your question and I'll answer you. If you're in this live, I'll definitely make sure. But yes, it's about that time. It's time to call it a day. I've enjoyed this live today. Thank you all that joined. Make sure you follow. Again, turn on your notifications, right? So that you can join me whenever I go live. All right, it's been real, y'all. Have a blessed day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.